Another evening of museum in Lotus, back in the Lotus Gallery in front of us. Still the most amazing and wonderful George III table. We are both on William IV chairs, am I right?
Absolutely, yes.
This is our third week in UK. We're still talking about the antiques and artifacts collected by Master Yun. Not for sale, of course, that's in the gallery, right?
We've extended our visa
for
UK.
Time. Yeah. We wanted to extend one time. So last week we talked about the Victorian silver tray.
Yes.
And we talked about, what else did we cover? We talked about the sets of utensils, cutlery actually, that's for fish. And this is Edward VII.
Edward VII.
If I remember correctly, you mentioned 1906.
Yes, correct.
100 over years. The Victorian tray, of course, is much longer, and we know that we have shared that this Victorian tray is the one that we actually put ginsengs on it, so that you give you when you refer your friends over here to Lotus on Water. So having covered George III, William IV, William IV, see, all these names.
Yes.
Victorian, and also Edward VII, who is a son of Queen Victoria. How come we are still in UK? What's going on?
There's so many interesting things in UK to see, and we are delighted that we have a very British setting.
Right.
And that brings the imagination to what it used to be in those days, what kind of parties they used to have, the sort of elegance, the opulence, the little chit-chats. They were talking about colonies, and you actually mentioned last time they were possibly talking about Singapore.
Probably,
They were talking about what were going to be the developments of Singapore. So to be here and to be in Singapore, it's a great reminder of wonderful days of the empire.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are really spending as in the period from George III. Let's assume that it's 1700 plus or late 1700s, all the way to the last one we talked about. This is Edward VII,
yes.
Which is 1906. 100. Even the collections themselves, they span across about a century, 100 over years.
100 over years.
And we mentioned that it must definitely have been wonderful families who own these collections. Victorian tray, 4.5 kg. There must be someone. And the Edward VII, this cutlery, as I was just sharing, the family crest is here, even though it's a bit blurred because of time, but it's a shell, which most probably meant that the family could have been sea explorers, or could have been, admirals or sea generals, warfare stuff. So Singapore would definitely be part of the topic, because by then, by 1812, Lahore Imperial was 1812, by 1819, Singapore was already part of a British colony. And the chances of it being talked about on this table, it's a crown colony as well. So
crown colony, yes.
So there's a high chance.
Yes.
So it definitely makes a lot of sense that today in Singapore we see this whole set of antiques that represents the height of the British Empire. The feeling is just very different. But today I see this Victorian tray, the same tray that's in front of us here, 4.5 kg. But something is different now.
Yes, we have a reason for celebration, and I think we ought to have a cake, which possibly at the end of a meal they would have had with some port, or maybe they would have had a sweet wine or something really special.
I see what you're doing, because last week we were eating fish with the cutlery. Now we're done with the fish, probably we're done the roast as well. So we've gone on to desserts. And desserts called for this cake that is on this Meiji period, am I right?
Meiji period,
Meiji period plate that we actually talked about before. And this plate, it's now resting on the 4.5 kg Victorian sterling silver tray.
Yes, 1873, perfectly matching with the Meiji period.
True. Oh, yes, that also, because the Meiji period is 1868.
Correct.
And presumably, that was the time when Japan opened up.
That was the time Japan opened up.
And there might have been trading going on.
Absolutely.
So
there were tradings.
This might have happened in the family of this rich and wealthy British family. the Victorian tray with Meiji period, and then we have a cake there.
Yes.
Desserts, yes, we have finally come to the desserts of this
Yes.
UK journey. Okay, friends are here. So tonight is dessert night. I see Eileen, Annie Ong, Yvonne Tan, Geraldine, Teng Chi Hong, Andy, Jewel, Laura Ng, hi Laura, and so on. So tonight we finally move on to desserts after eating the main course of fish last night. And before that, before that, we're just laying the table because we were talking
Yes.
about tables and chairs. So dessert, oh my goodness. Right. So should we have desserts first, or how should we go by?
Whatever you think is right, we will do it. By all means.
Ken, I'm sure we can have some desserts first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shall I take the initiative?
Please, yes, yeah. So Mr. Pino is going to cut us up some cake. Yeah.
And this is cake cutter.
Right.
And it hails from a totally different place.
Right.
This is Japan.
Okay.
And again, we needed a matching the plate with this wonderful silver. This is beyond 1925. It's actually 1950, as I can see from the hallmark.
Right.
And we have part of the chrysanthemum, half of chrysanthemum, and it's actually mentioned sterling silver. And in my opinion, this was possibly meant to travel. As we have traveled to UK, and now we are in London, this is exactly the cutter that we're going to use for this wonderful cake.
Even the cutter that we are using it for the cake, it's very, very precious. Oh, so we use this to cut first, do we?
I think to just simplify
Oh, okay.
the whole thing.
Right. Okay. Oof.
And as you can see in the set, we have small dishes. And these small dishes,
Oh, that's a very luxurious cake. Oh my goodness.
it's a
yeah.
very, very luxurious cake. I mean, it's all in theme with what we have here.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't do a
Desserts,
splendid,
everyone, yeah.
I didn't do a splendid job, and I recognize it. Please forgive me. And Master Khan.
Oh, okay. Wow, okay. Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
And
my
I will
goodness,
help.
yeah.
I would also help myself.
Please have a slice as well.
I will.
Because we had fish, so we must
Yes.
have desserts to complete the course. Thank you.
Enjoy with us.
Yeah.
Come over immediately. There's plenty
There's
for
plenty,
everybody.
yeah. And
And,
probably you get a chance to eat off the cutleries, no? I was thinking that, when they have cake, you mentioned, so they might have port wine.
They
Might have some kind of digestives or some kind of a wine to go along with it.
yes.
And I think we're going to talk about something related to that, right, today?
Why not? Yes, we have to.
Maybe I'll spend some time eating the cake first. I kind of feel like the first meal of the day, yeah.
First meal of the day.
Most probably, yes, yeah.
So you need sugar.
Okay. So while people are having cake at the time, we can imagine that they might be pairing it with wine, port wine, sweet
dessert.
wine, or something.
Yes.
And
Sherry.
Right. And we have in the collection that we want to highlight today that there are equipments,
Yes.
antique equipments nonetheless, that are related to this purpose.
Everything has a link and has a meaning. And I think we will touch tonight on this three wonderful decanters.
Decanters.
And I will try to share with you why they call decanters. The interesting part that all these three decanters, two are almost identical, but they're not, they're totally different. And in the explanation that I will provide, I will show you where the difference or the main differences are, and the purpose of some of the things that we see. Now, when I talk about these decanters, They are crystal.
This is a crystal.
This is crystal. Now, in the family of glass, there's a category which is reserved to crystal and then to what is glass.
Okay.
So they actually is the same family, but there are some characteristics which are related to crystal that makes it totally different from glass. And the main one, I will not go too much in detail with the minerals and the differences, but I will say that one of the main characteristics to distinguish what is a crystal glass from what is not a crystal glass is that the content of lead.
Right.
It has to be minimum 24%.
I see.
And even today, you will possibly go around, see that they're calling something crystal, but actually crystal is not. So be careful. Make sure that you are buying, if this is what you wish to do, crystal, and make sure that in the composition of the minerals, there's at least 24% of lead.
Right. So we are talking about these three.
Correct.
The one in front of
here?
you, the one that looks similar.
Looks
this
similar.
one that's in my hand.
Yes.
Right. And we are also, and these are all crystal.
They're all crystal. They're
And
relatively heavy.
these are all crystal. Wow, wow, wow. And we are also talking about this one.
And this, again, it's also a decanter, and it's slightly different. And I will share with you what are the main differences. Let's examine this one. I will not go too much in details, because what is important is the overall. But please, look, I'm taking off the stopper. This is technically called the stopper.
And it was made back then. So what age are these three of the same age, or how does it
They're
work?
absolutely the same age. This is George III. And let's basically sort of remind ourselves of the dates. I mean, this was one of the monarchs that ruled the country for approximately 60 years. As I possibly have mentioned when I described the table, there were two unfortunate things that happened during that period, and that is that the empire lost the colonies.
In
and
America.
So, yes, they lost the American colonies. They had a lot of spending of money, but they didn't succeed. And the second thing, the monarch derailed. In other words, he went mad. And therefore, for the last 11 years, until 1820 of his kingdom, actually his son became the regent, and after that, he became the monarch. So let's look at this wonderful decanter.
Okay.
And this is a star mushroom shape stopper.
Same as the one here, star mushroom shape.
And look
stopper.
at the reflection of the light. Now, this is one of the further elements that distinguish crystal versus glass. The reflection of the light.
And handmade for sure, yeah.
And this is all made actually by hand. This is molded. Perfect. Perfect. That tells you that we are talking about pure crystal. Just sound, you won't be able to hear this wonderful sound with glass.
Right, yes.
Now, look at the way it's shining and how beautiful it is. The differences, and the main difference, again, you can mold the crystal, you cannot mold the glass. Very resistant because of the mineral components. Now, interestingly enough, you will see, in spite of the fact that I did mention that these two decanters look similar, but actually they're totally different.
Quite very different. I mean, if you look at it closer,
they are totally different.
You can see that, I mean, the one I'm holding, it's taller.
Yes.
It has more rings.
Yes.
Just observing, and it bends, it curves in.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
This is called the club shape. Now, when you look at it, especially along the neck, just along the neck, you will find 3 rings.
Yeah,
And 3 rings here and 3 rings there.
that's right.
I've been asking myself, what's the purpose of these rings? Could they have avoided these rings? Maybe yes, but the right thing was to have these rings. And there's a very simple reason. Imagine serving. By having these 3 rings, you would hold very well in your hands the bottle.
You're right.
And you would be able to serve the wine or the pot or whatever was this in a very beautiful, elegant way. So there's a specific purpose for these rings. Now, when we look at the detail, here is fluted. What I particularly love is this particular band that you see here. And this band is just like a diamond band, and that's the way that it's classified. Just below, you actually see a transparent band, again fluted, transparent band, and very close fluted designs. Now let me turn upside down this wonderful crystal bottle. Decanter, to be honest, and I will explain why it's called decanter. You would see the star, but you also would see a particular element here, which is when it was cut, the glass. Again, we can call it glass. We don't make any mistake because it's within the family of glass, the crystals.
Right.
So extremely beautiful. Let me tell you, the more I look at it, I don't see a chip. I don't see any airlines. So in spite of the fact that this has been in existence for over 200 years, more than 200 years.
It might be as old as America, yeah.
It might be as old as America. Perfect condition. So it was taken care of. And let's not forget that this king ruled the empire for 60 years. And we're talking about 1760 to 1820. And is basically as old as the table that we see here.
Right.
The same age of the table.
Which means that they might not be the same set, but something similar has manifested on this table before.
Without any doubts.
This table, along with a decanter like this.
Yes.
So, do you think we can use the decanter?
I think we ought to use the decanter also to be able to share why it's called the decanter and what was the purpose. Because we have described this wonderful, I call it bottle, but I shouldn't be calling bottle. I should be calling as its name, decanter.
Right.
Now, imagine, wines used to reach the empire. And I just want to focus my attention. Let's just imagine in this wonderful, beautiful house in London.
Yes.
And guests were actually invited, and the butlers, or the main butler, would just take wonderful, maybe French wine. I would have preferred Italian, but say French wine. And after having opened and taken off the cork, then the oxygen would have started to allow the wine to breathe.
Right.
But in those days, there were sediments in the green bottles, and there must have been a way to eliminate the sediments, because when you drink, you don't want to see in your glass the residual, not nice, aesthetically unpleasant elements. And therefore, by just tilting the bottle, you would see the wine flowing in these decanters, and the color will start to emerge. The crystal, with the light shining everywhere, would be the point of attention for the guests around the table.
I see.
I almost feel poetic tonight about what I'm saying, but I really feel that that was the way. And I might even ask you for a favor, and that is...
I have a bottle of wine, but it's French.
You see, we can't be perfect, and please forgive us tonight for not having another bottle, and maybe from a good Barolo.
It's good. It's actually, this bottle of wine, it's what we call, it's the house pour of Lotus. I mean, we serve this to our VIPs over here, and it actually belongs to the vineyard that's Baron de Rothschild. It's the one that actually does the Lafite wine as well.
Wow.
So it's something, because you can see the Lafite logo over here, and that's what we serve. It's a Bordeaux wine, right?
Fantastic.
So do I hold this when I pour the wine in, or do I just put it on the table? How does it work?
You can basically either hold it in your table, but I would make things for you a little bit simpler.
Yeah.
Just put it on the table.
Okay.
And then pour the wine into it.
All right.
By just slowly. I will not be able to do it because I'm a very messy person when it comes to this.
So let's assume that I'm going to use this. Not assume, I'm going to use this decanter, and probably, you know, I have a bottle of wine. I have already cocked it, and I'll show you. I'll say Baron de Rothschild.
Wow.
Bordeaux 2017, or maybe like 1777. Yeah. So then everyone says okay. Then I would proceed.
Yes.
To
bend the bottle and allow slowly the wine to flow into the decanter, making sure that there's no residual of this contents, which I've mentioned earlier, that goes into the bottle. I would want to be allowed to drink a little bit of this wine tonight.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I told you, please come over. You would have the cake and you would be able to sip also the wine.
Come on, it's dessert, so we have this. I mean, we already seen with the cake what's seasoning with the alcohol. Anyway, yeah.
Look the way that Mr. Khan is doing it. He's bending the bottle gently, and now he's going to slowly make sure that the wine is poured. Look at the color of the wine, and please admire the color of the wine as it's going. It's just washing the bottle, and it's giving this magnificent use of this almost ruby color of the wine. By just looking at it, I feel that I want to drink the entire bottle with its decanter. So that's exactly what it means to decant. Slowly, again, with a lot of gentle movements, nothing, not extra movements, nicely. And that's the way it was poured in those days. That's the reason why, with a gentle touch, there's never been any airline or chipping, as I mentioned earlier. And that's it. Perfect.
I left a little bit here because that's where the sediment's supposed to be, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So there we have it.
And then we have it. And then the next is to basically pour the wine. But look at the color as the wine was going through.
It was this, and now it's like this. You see, this is with the wine then.
And can you see the diamond, the band here, how it's reflecting the lights in every possible direction? And imagine those people around the table, how much they were appreciating the effects, not only of the color of the wine, but the effects of the lights. Magnificent. I just think we're back in maybe 1860, 1870s, and we are just imagining what is happening. Not 1870s, it has to be before 1860, because the reign of George III was 60 years and went from 1760 to 1820.
But you can see because of the diamond level you were talking
Yes.
about,
Yes.
the color of the wine allows it to reflect different colors of it, as if like sometimes it can look like a rainbow here, no? It's
Yes.
just, this is really something. Perhaps a glass for you, Mr. Giuseppe De Giussa.
I would love to taste this wine, thank you. I'm trying to imitate the British accent, failing completely. Thank you so much.
Oops.
Listen, wow.
All right. Yeah, you're right with the 3-finger thing. It's correct. Yeah, doesn't slip, you know, because it doesn't slip and fall.
Slip.
So while it's beauty, there's also a pragmatic purpose to it. Yeah.
And that's the reason why, in spite of the fact that they are totally different, I mean, if you see the way they've been molded, totally different. I mean, they do have some similarities without any doubts, but reality is that what they similarly have in common is this 3 rings.
That's right.
And you can hold the bottle very firmly, knowing that it will not slip.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sorry, it's not the end of the show. I'm just cheersing because we just decanted this wine.
Oh, what a wonderful smell. Ah.
Very silky.
Very, very, very interesting wine.
Definitely a great compliment. We ate the cake off the Victorian tray, and now we have the decanter to serve us the wine.
And here we have, let me just focus about the difference. This is glass.
Yeah.
This is blown glass. It's very interesting, but it's not crystal. And this is very thin, impossible to mold. So once this blown glass has been completed, there's nothing else that can be done. You cannot mold, you cannot do anything. Instead, all of these wonderful bands that you see here,
yes,
they've all been done by hand.
Right.
So it's fantastic.
It's
Let me
nice.
just skip 1 second from these 2 wonderful decanters. And I would like to introduce the 3rd piece, which is also very
a
interesting.
decanter.
This is also a decanter. Now, as you can see, it doesn't have the 3 rings.
Right.
Because
It has a handle.
we have a handle and then a very good grip on this.
Right.
We find here a spout, as you can see.
And you can still see the diamond designs.
We still see the diamond design, how beautiful they are. But actually, my suggestion is if you have just half an hour and you can drop by, do come and see and touch and feel the crystal.
Please be very, very careful.
Very careful, but
It's
I mean,
George III, come on, yeah.
it's George III, but I think if you are careful and you appreciate beauty and you appreciate the age and the purpose of these 3 decanters, this is totally different. Now, we've just mentioned about the spout here.
Right.
Then we have this fluted, wonderful neck. And in my imagination, it's just like a beautiful neck of a swan. This is a swan neck. And it's fluted. You can actually touch this part here, and you'll see that the segments, one after the other. Then these segments go to the upper part of the bulbous, we can call it
body.
Bulbous body. And then we see a transparent part on the front here.
Yes.
Okay? And the transparent part has a function. It allows to actually see very clear the color of the wine, which maybe the diamond would not allow as clearly as possible. Now, let me turn it around. And the reason why I'm turning it around is to show you 2 things. The first thing is the handle, okay? And the handle starts from just below the top and underneath the spout. It goes down and sits on the continuation of this transparent band, which is very narrow in the front, but in the back, it has a V shape.
Right.
And after this V shape, then we will have this wonderful band of diamonds.
I see.
When you look at the diamonds, they're not the same. Each diamond from the top downwards are actually different. Again, we see a transparent band and fluted, and then again a transparent band. What is interesting about this particular decanter, look at the base. Look how beautiful the base. And by touching, you will feel that it has a beveled base.
Like a star shape then.
Like a star shape.
Instead of this on the top, they have something like that at the bottom.
At the bottom. And then look at the bottom what you can see. You actually see, again, a star. Now, in my opinion, and this unfortunate, I look at the color, especially of this part of the neck, and I see a slight difference in the color, which tells me that possibly it has a stopper, which unfortunately has gone missing. And although it's an unfortunate happening, very happy to see something so beautiful, so unusual, George III, and it's a wonderful girl, I would say, and two gentlemen, both those two Decanter are looking after her.
Right. Decanters, I mean, a lot of you like to drink, so now we have George III decanters. That's got to count on something.
Yes.
Right? I had a great time enjoying the cake and the wine when you were sharing with us the details. And we also have something today that is very closely related to the United Kingdoms. In fact, they just came back from United Kingdoms, and I thought it was apt to actually bring them out tonight to share it with the George III, William IV, and so on. But before that, lucky draw from last week.
Yes.
Well, there was an unfortunate mishap that happened last week. That actually our question was, who was the monarch of this Victorian sterling silver tray? Somehow, a lot of people went to answer Queen Elizabeth, which was the wrong answer. It's Queen Victoria. Queen Elizabeth, it's the current one, or the one that was even much longer ago. It was Queen Victoria. It's called 维多利亚时代. Victorian age, that's the one, right? So, so we have lesser contenders for that.
No problem. No problem. Still enough to give away the beautiful 6 bottles from...
yes, 6 glasses.
6 glasses. Thank you for correcting me.
So remember, it's Queen Victoria, huh? The first one is Vicky.
Right.
Vicky. God, you managed to differentiate who's Victoria and who's Elizabeth, yeah.
So it wasn't too difficult because of the almost VIC.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And so it must not be too difficult.
Couldn't get your own name wrong, huh? This is Tan Kok Ling.
Right. Kok Ling
It reminds us not to just copy and paste answer, but no, to really... That was Queen Victoria. Okay, Kok Ling and Vicky, we have the third person is... Oh, okay. I'm gonna get some Victorian glasses. Yeah. Why is this so difficult to open? Yvonne Tan. Congratulations. Yvonne Tan, Vicky, and Tan Kok Ling.
Congratulations to the 3 winners.
I think if everyone answered Victoria, we have much more people to choose from, but nonetheless. Yeah. Okay, congratulations to these 3 winners. So there we have our cake, we have our wine, great sets of UK antiques, and I told you that I have something that just came back from UK as well. And we have this other ongoing series that's called the Art Beyond Museums. And we started filming last year, May, and now it's over the world. In fact, a series that just ended is the Art Beyond Museums UK edition, which means that Master paintings were exhibited in different parts of United Kingdoms, namely in London and Birmingham. So the paintings went to significant places, including a 2-star restaurant in London, which is wonderful. And these paintings that were exhibited in this whole series of 12 episodes, they are back with us at the gallery now. And the ones behind us, they are part of the collection.
I hear somebody talking in pure British, and I turned around and now I understand the reason.
Yeah. So this is this you might not have seen before. This is from the ABM Art Beyond Museum UK edition. Likewise, the one behind me, right? They all went to UK before, so they are back in the gallery. And then before I go into the details, there's one thing that I must say is that when the host of Art Beyond Museum UK, when he was filming,
yes.
Anyway, he's called Chef Daniel Lee. He's the Master Chef UK Professionals. He's a champion of 2021, and he's the one who hosted this series. When he was filming, the prizes on the artworks, they belong to the old prizes. And by the time he finished filming and then many other things happened, the prizes in the gallery, they have already increased. Right. But when the series was released, he was still saying that, oh, you know, this calligraphy over here double the brilliance of the day and the sun and the moon. It's at 33,868. By right now, it should have gone up to 50,000+.
So it still remains at a lower price.
So in order to solve this technical issue and to hold our own selves to our words for it, because it's already broadcasted. So these calligraphies, these artworks will be at this price, will remain at this price for 1 month, all the way from 15th of May all the way to 18th of June.
Right.
For about 30+ days. And because 18th of June is the day that we're going to celebrate our 16th anniversary celebration. Take it like a form of celebration and really to hold our words to it. The prizes will remain, but only for this 30 over days.
Right.
And that's it. We have several recommendations from this list. These are the paintings and calligraphies that have been on to ABM UK. Of course, when they buy this series, either of them, you will still get the 5 bottles of Laurent Perrier champagne. So I think it's a great buy because you can't find calligraphies. Fenghui, of course, that's the one that we are linking to the many different collections we have. And that is actually painted a crane.
Yes.
A crane. And in English, the name of the painting is called Yellow Crane with Everlasting Victory. Another connection, victory, victorious.
Absolutely. How things all come together.
Right. And this is the first series where the crane is painted entirely in gold. And if you happen to come and look closer, you will realize that the crane, the circumference of it is the lines demarcating it. You can see the pine soot black ink. But actually, if you pay closer attention, there's also a golden line demarcating the whole crane. It's really another kind of art form that represents the height of an empire. It's a golden crane after all, surrounded by so much silver, right? And if you look closer at the colors, they are vibrant, probably representing about the diversity and how many colonies there are in America, in United Kingdoms. So this is really a painting of absolute prosperity. It's stunning.
Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And the crane is absolutely fantastic. It seems that it's just going to fly high in the sky, which is a great occasion for whoever likes this subject and is willing to consider buying it. I think it's a beautiful painting.
Yeah, so the ones, there are 36 art pieces that were exhibited on the, not on the Great Wall of China, there were 36 art pieces that were exhibited at UK.
Yes.
During the Art Beyond Museum UK edition. 24 of them are calligraphies, 12 of them are the golden cranes, so a total of 36 of them. As I mentioned, that the price will maintain because we have already said that's the price till 18th of June, and thereafter it will increase. Something like that, it might go up to like 50 over 1,000. And some of the bigger pieces, they'll go up to 60 over 1,000. So if I were you, I'm looking at a piece of wall in my home now, and I think that, you know, I should actually get it done. This is a good time for it. And this Sunday, I think it's 20th. Is it 20th? No. This Sunday is 22nd of May at about 3 or 4 p.m. I would have a workshop.
Good.
Another workshop, yeah. not about sandalwood, not pairing with Eric's fashion, not pairing with wine, but it will be specifically about the Art Beyond Museum UK paintings and calligraphies that just came back. The workshop will be entirely about them. I will share with you where they have been to, which episode they were featured in, and what are the unique features of this series that you should pay attention to. Of course, of these 36 paintings, there are 36 artworks, there are pieces that we think that are more recommended than the others, and we hope that you can be the first one to actually get them this Sunday. So if you're interested, better sign up with us very soon. You know how small the space, actually not a small space, it's just that it gets very crowded nowadays. So yeah, that's the key thing. Paintings, good cake, good wine decanted. What's next?
What's next? I mean, I just think about the host and finishing the dinner, moving maybe to another room, a settee where people relax, maybe continuing to have a port or some beautiful sherry or whatever. And then I imagine that from the pocket of the host, something gets out and is offered to the guest.
Right.
Something elegant, refined, representing status, and at the same time, beautiful gesture of offering to the guest something specific. And here we are.
Are we talking about this little gentleman here?
We are here showing you something very, very, very special. And I will tell you a few things about it. It's almost squarish.
Yes.
We're talking about sterling silver.
So similar, it's sterling silver, like the Victorian tray, like the cutlery.
Yes. And this belongs to another period, another monarch, and this is George V.
George V.
This is George V. Now, let me just tell you about the way it was built. It's almost squarish, this particular piece, but then if you see all around, it turns. And it's actually made out of two pieces.
Right.
And let me just open it. It's a beautiful opening that it has. And you can see that there's a wonderful inch here, which you can hardly see.
Puts it together, huh?
To put it together, this is a sort of a clamp mechanism. And clamp is just one of those similar oyster, but it's not an oyster. And then
a simple mechanism.
And this is a cigarette box.
It's a cigarette box. So
cigarette box.
A simple mechanism that you press here.
Yes.
And it opens up.
And it opens up. Now you imagine when we look at the decoration, this is all hand light incision that we find here. And if you see the front is actually different from the back. Although it's arabesque, and we see foliages, and we see flowers, and the same thing continues on the front, but there's a middle part, which I would like to call it a cartouche, and this cartouche would possibly have contained the surname and the name or the initials of the owner. But in this case, it does not have it.
May I?
Yes, please.
Right. So this is the small little, how do you call it, holder or a container that you mentioned that it's supposed to be in, assumingly, like, you know, it can be in the pocket.
In the pocket.
Do I have a pocket like that? Oh, not here. Oh, maybe here. Oh, no, this is tight here in the pocket.
Yes.
Fits nicely.
Yes.
So maybe after dinner, you'll be taking it out and offering it to the guests.
But look at the shape. I mean, when you put it in your pocket, and it's your leg pocket, it just folds perfectly. You actually don't even see it. Like the phones these days, you see
it's
that
very comfortable.
It's very comfortable.
It's very comfortable.
It's very comfortable.
It's very comfortable. This is, you see, just like this. It's a very smooth and sleek action. Some after dessert.
Thank you very much. No cigarettes.
I see that, you know, if I learn something, it's that 2 pieces of silver, and each piece has its own hallmark. Do you call it?
Fantastic. This is something that I was just about to share with you. Now, why on one piece there's actually 2 hallmark? What's the meaning of the hallmark? And these are symbols.
Right.
And here, if we examine attentively the symbol, we would be able to distinguish few things. First of all, if you look carefully, there are some initials.
Yes.
And those would be the initial of the silversmith. In this particular case would be Samuel M. Levi.
SML.
Correct.
So it's made by this company then?
This is made by this company, and wonderful silversmith. Now, then after that, you would see an anchor.
I see the anchor, yeah, right after that.
The anchor would actually indicate that it was assayed, this piece, in Birmingham.
Oh, this piece of silver was made in Birmingham.
Not only I think it was made, actually was made in Birmingham, but as you know, in those days, fees had to be paid for sterling silver. And that is when the silversmith would have gone to the assay office, in this case, Birmingham, and after it was paid the fee, then the chop would have been placed.
I see.
And
it coincides, you know, because the Master Its Feng Shui painting just came back from London and Birmingham.
And Birmingham.
Right,
Look
right.
at the coincidence.
If I'm right, Birmingham is like sort of like the factory of London back then, England back then. 40% of the jewelry was actually created
in Birmingham.
In Birmingham.
Correct. Now, one more thing that we see about the hallmark is the so-called the lion passant. Now, and we see actually the profile of the lion, which gives us the confirmation of the content of the silver, not less than 925 parts over 1,000. So you imagine the alloy would actually be 75%, and 925% it was pure silver. And the thing that I wanted to mention, I just mentioned something and then I go back to something that Mr. Khan has highlighted, that the hallmark is not only on one part of this clam shell cigarette case, okay? It's on both.
It's on both,
why? Why did they go to the extent of putting it on both sides? And the reason is a very simple one. In order to avoid any fraud, because one part could have been sterling silver, the other part may not have been sterling silver. Therefore, it had to have the same chop. So anything that can be separated, and as I mentioned earlier, it has this beautiful hinge that you see putting together the two parts of this clam, but you can still separate it. So to avoid any fraud, the hallmark would be on one side and would also be on the other side. So whenever you are looking for sterling silver pieces and you see they're made in more than one part, just make sure that the hallmark is on all the parts that can be separated.
I see.
This is very important. Now, we have spoken about being made by this wonderful silversmith company. We've mentioned about the assay office. We've also mentioned about the lion passant, but we also want to know about the age.
And that's the alphabet.
That's the alphabet. And in this case, if I'm not mistaken, it's a Y sign.
It's a Y, yeah, it's a Y at the back, yeah.
The Y sign would tell us exactly the date. The date means the year of production of this particular case. And the date would be 1923.
1923, between the wars then, yeah.
Imagine next year, it will be 100 years old. So we're just 19.
Oh.
Next year, it will be 100 years old.
This little cigarette holder in my hand is 99 years of age. And during the times of George V.
George V, exactly.
He is the grandfather of Elizabeth II.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, I got my memory correct. So this belongs to the age of George V, 1923.
1923.
And George V is the grandfather of the current monarch, Queen Elizabeth II.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so we are really seeing a whole line of British monarchs, all the way from George III to William IV to Queen Victoria,
yes.
and all after that to Edward VII.
Edward VII,
and
correct.
Here in
George
my hand,
V.
George V.
And this monarch reigned from 1901 to 19... this is George V, 1910 to 1936. So this is 1923. And after him, we had Edward VIII.
Yes.
And Edward VIII...
was only there for a while.
It was just less than a year. And after that, his brother, George VI, came and became the reign, and he is the father of Queen Elizabeth, who took over the reign after death of the father in 1952.
52, okay.
And this is the longest monarch with the Jubilee.
Just happened?
Yes, the Jubilee just happened. So Victoria reigned for over 60 years, 63 to be precise, and in this case, Queen Elizabeth for over 70 years.
Wow.
So amazing. There's two women in the last 2.5 centuries. So my imagination is running wild. We are in London. We are in this distinguished house. We have this wonderful host, and with a nice, lovely gesture of offering friends and guests cigarettes at the end of the evening with a beautiful drink, and showing and taking it out from the pocket, a little jewel. Beautiful to handle. You feel the hands that have touched and have held this piece. At the same time, let me tell you, not only it's perfect, there's no one dent, there's nothing wrong with this piece, nothing at all. And what I see, it's a fantastic patina. A patina of this kind, which you see in the small parts, can only happen because of the passage of time. And as I mentioned, it's 99 years old. On top of that, it's been handled, and you can almost feel the kind of little grease that was on the hands of the owner. So much history, so much beauty, so much of the old age, elegance, refinement, wealth, beauty. The same thing that I may see in these paintings. So there is an analogy, and I think the experience of these episodes has given us the opportunity to create linkages, some really natural because of the ages of the pieces, but also with the art. And it's not a case that tonight we have pieces that have been exposed in the United Kingdom,
yes,
in various places. Mr. Khan has mentioned London, has mentioned Birmingham. Again, another factor Birmingham is the place where this particular clam cigarette box was made. And it's not by chance. This is a collection of Master Yun. And I'm sure that there is this very special eye who has been able to pick pieces from one place to the other, apparently very different, but all have the same logic, the same beauty with his heart.
So we have, over the last 3 episodes, including this one, stayed in England. Have you overstayed? I'm not too sure, but I haven't had enough of this whole thing. And of course, tonight is the dessert round. From dessert all the way to decanting good wine, and eventually after that, would you like to have a little? Would you like to have a little? And then they will do that thing here. It feels very natural. Probably in the past I was one of these gentlemen who does this kind of stuff. I'm not sure whether next episode we will still be in England. Probably yes. Yeah, but for sure, this Sunday I'm having this session in the gallery at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'll announce again. There will be about the painting that just came back from the ABM Art Beyond Museum UK edition. So I think it will be quite a wonderful edition that I can have these paintings here, and also, you know, maybe I'll do it here where I have the, you know, majority of the furnishing of the,
I think you should. And this is a different empire. If I may just draw a line of connection, this is the empire of Master Yun collection in this wonderful galleries. So it's the same kind of atmosphere. Of course, we're away more than 100 years from those periods, and they continue to live.
Yes, indeed, very much. Well, we are so indulged in engrossed in your British Empire stories and imagination that I have to ask a lucky draw question. Huh? You know, now it's challenging. If I ask you the name of the king or the queens, everyone might get it all mixed up again. It's not easy for us as well, because actually we have learned a lot before all these things. Yeah, but probably something easier to get people in the ball rolling again. We all know that these antiques come from United Kingdom.
Yes.
And I mentioned that the paintings that came back from Art Beyond Museum UK edition, the one that's behind Mr. Pino, the crane, and the one that's here right behind me, they also came back from United Kingdoms, but I specifically mentioned 2 cities.
Yes.
Simple, okay? Because the second city, the first city is simple, it's the capital. If you don't know that one, I don't know what to do with you. Second is that it is the same city that actually made this in 1923, and it's signified by an anchor. So my question is that Art Beyond Museum UK edition, the fengshui paintings and the calligraphies, they just came back from United Kingdom's England. They were from 2 cities. Which 2 cities are they? And and this Sunday's talk, I will break it down for you to let you know that which went to what restaurant, which went to what significant places, and so on. But they will just cross these 2 cities because, you know, some of the places that Art Beyond Museum UK went to, one place where we exhibited was on the outskirts of London. Mm-hmm. It's Sir Robert Peel, you know, the person who founded the Conservative Party, the Prime Minister.
Wow.
He's one of his previous mansions,
right?
Previous estates, right? And that's something. And when we go to the factory of, or the back end factory of England, then we have other interesting places that's happening in that city that starts with the letter B. So 2 cities, okay, very simple. Where did these Art Beyond Museum paintings come back from? It shouldn't be very difficult. If you're paying attention to the Art Beyond Museum UK edition, you would know only these 2 cities. One of them is the capital. The other is what we'd like to call the back-end factory of England. It's wonderful. And one of the things they made was this thing in 1923. Since then.
Remember the hint? The B.
Yeah. You couldn't get the capital wrong. The other city starts with B. Come on, yeah. Well, I look forward to next week's museum in Lotus. Excited to see whether we are going to continue a little bit with this England journey or to somewhere else in the world. you will definitely see a lot more of this Art Beyond Museum UK paintings around, of course, unless you grab it first before the price increases. Cheers.
Cheers.